All right, guys. So yesterday we went over my takeaways from the Green Bay Packers' first preseason game, that win over the Cleveland Browns, how all of the players performed. Mainly, we were taking a look at the rookies and the defense. And I asked you guys if you wanted me to go over the PFF grades from the first preseason game. And usually we don't start this series until the regular season, but we're all sickos right now. We all just want football, so I understand it. And I got a lot of comments saying, hey, you give us the PFF grades, let's do the PFF video and go over the grades from preseason week 1. So why not? Let's go over the PFF grades from Green Bay Packers preseason week 1 versus the Cleveland Browns. And this video is being powered by this year's channel sponsor, BetUS. If you happen to be a new viewer to this channel and want to stay in the loop with everything Green Bay Packers, this is your go-to spot for it. We'll also be going over the PFF grades after every single regular season game. You'll find injury updates, roster news, live streams during the games. You'll find it all here on this channel, as well as training camp videos, which start back up tomorrow. So go down, click subscribe, you won't regret it. All right, so let's waste no more time and let's just dive right into the PFF grades. And to go over the game real quickly, just kind of a quick recap. Obviously, I would say the key players that impressed me the most would be Grant DuBose and Emmanuel Wilson on offense, and Evan Williams and Javon Bullard on defense. So 2 rookies, a part of the most impressive players in this game. So we kind of wanted to see their stats, their PFF grades. How did other people grade on the defense? Did they pass the eye test as well as the PFF grade test? And again, PFF isn't the end-all be-all, right? These grades are subjective. Of course, someone is giving them a grade, and that is subjective, but the stats don't lie. So when you see how many receptions they allowed, or how many pressures they gave up, or pressures they created on the quarterback, that all is good context to have. So diving into the offensive grades for the Packers, let's bring up the screen, and we're going to see some really high grades here, but of course, this is on only a couple snaps. We see that Dontavian Wicks had 1 snap, obviously the 1 catch. I think it was a 65-yard touchdown slot fade concept. Amazing throw, beat that safety on the Browns with ease, and it gave him a 94.3 grade. Of course, you're going to go out there and score a touchdown on your only snap, you're going to have above a 90 grade, so no surprise there. Jordan Love had 3 snaps, 1 handoff, a pass to Josh Jacobs, then, of course, the passing touchdown to Wicks. So he's also going to have a 90.3 grade, or 90 plus. There's no surprise here. So then we start getting into some of the players that actually saw a significant amount of snaps. Julian Hicks was very impressive in this game. I believe he only had 1 catch, but he graded very well. 16 total snaps, including 4 passing snaps, but he had 11 run blocking snaps, which he had a 60.9, so nothing crazy in the run blocking regard, but he was the highest graded Packer that, played more than 3 snaps with an 84.9. A lot of people like Julian Hicks, and a lot of people also like Grant DuBose, who had basically double the amount of snaps as Julian Hicks, but graded nearly the same, 84.6. We can all agree Grant DuBose was the most impressive wide receiver of the day. He had plenty of receptions on 3rd down and 4th down, and then even today, Matt LaFleur said they're teaching guys in film room today how to run block as a receiver and showing them snaps of Grant DuBose from this game. So it seems very likely Grant DuBose will make this roster. Now, will he make it over Malik Heath and they put Malik Heath to the practice squad, or will they keep 7? It's definitely an argument. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Michael Pratt was the highest graded backup quarterback, I guess you could call it, right? He only had 23 snaps, so he played a lot less than Sean Clifford, and Sean Clifford's not that far behind him. Both of these guys, didn't wow me by any means, but they didn't play terrible. Sean Clifford a little bit below average in terms of completion percentage, but both guys made some nice throws, and Sean Clifford started rough, but then really started to heat it up and had some very impressive throws. Pratt an 84.5, Sean Clifford a 76.5. Joe Wilson, this is someone that I saw someone release a 53-man roster prediction online. I forget exactly what website it was, but they had Joe Wilson making it over Ben Sims, and I could see maybe why. He had a really good game. He saw a ton of snaps, 37 snaps. And if I can actually find Ben Sims, he saw 33 snaps and was one of the lowest graded players down here, which we'll get to. But Joel Wilson, a really nice game. He had a few catches. I think he had 3 catches, an 84.5, and good run blocking grade, an 80.1. So that's, important for the Packers tight ends. Jacobs, only 3 snaps, still a 70.8. Luke Tenuta played 16 snaps at right tackle, good pass blocking grade. We see Emmanuel Wilson, not a great grade by any means, but he's definitely the most impressive runner of the night. Sean Ryan, the highest graded guard, So he played 48 total snaps at right guard, and you see pass blocking 78.2, run blocking 62.7. Typically, he's a run blocker, so it's nice to see a nice pass blocking grade here. And we'll go over all the pressures allowed by these players right after this. Andre Dillard with an 88.3 pass blocking grade. He didn't allow a single pressure. I know that because I remember seeing that on Twitter. I think both him and Royce Newman actually didn't allow a pressure in this game, which... how, first off, but 36 total snaps for Andre Dillard. I believe he played them at both right tackle and left tackle. Had a good game, right? It's preseason, but he had a good game. Messiah Swinton saw 11 snaps. Samori Torrey saw 20 snaps, right around average at 65. Lecitus Smith, horrible pass blocking grade, 46.4. That doesn't surprise me. Some of the snaps I saw from training camp or family night, I was just like, what is this guy doing? Don't see him being on the roster, at least at 53. Jacob Monk, and even more so poor pass blocking grade, 33.4. So I'm interested to see how many pressures he let up. Has been kind of struggling at center and guard. He's a rookie, so growing pains, right? Marshawn Lloyd, it seemed that his injury isn't serious. At least I saw a report today, so we'll see how that goes. My best guess is he maybe opens the year on the PUP and it allows the Packers to roster Emmanuel Wilson. It just seems like the way it's going to go, and that tends to happen every year with a certain player where then they can roster someone else because someone gets hurt, and it's maybe not a crazy serious injury, but it allows them to put him on the PUP or IR. Jarvian Howard, a 62.2. Malik Heath, a 61.0. He's going to have to do better if he wants to take that wide receiver 6 spot. Travis Glover, didn't notice him at all, but I guess he played 16 snaps at left tackle, and I guess that's a good thing. When you don't notice a lineman, it's a good thing, right? You're not seeing them get beat. You're not usually watching them if they don't get beat. And he had a 73.3 pass blocking grade. Rasheed Walker, 3 snaps. Elton Jenkins, Josh Myers, all 3 snaps. So, again, they're all going to be around average. They barely played. Caleb Jones played 30 snaps, and not a great game from him. We see Jaden Reed, 2 snaps. Dobbs, Musgrave, Watson, right? We don't really have to go over these guys. Although they're low grades, it was in like 2 to 3 plays. So it's not really, there's no really telling there. They weren't even involved in the plays. So it's hard to go through. Kadeem Telfort, 38 snaps. He mainly played left tackle. Not a good game. Horrible run blocking, decent pass blocking. Royce Newman with an 86.3 pass blocking grade. That might be the highest pass blocking grade I have ever seen from Royce Newman. And of course, it's in a preseason game, but still had a 50.0 because his run blocking was that bad. I don't see how that averages out. I guess because the penalty he had, he did have a false start. Then we talked about Ben Sims. And then we have A.J. Dillon and Bo Melton on the bottom. If you were to say, hey, who do you think the 2 lowest graded players are on offense? I'd probably say A.J. Dillon and Bo Melton. I'd definitely say Bo Melton. I haven't been as hard on A.J. Dillon as a lot of other people. I think the offensive line didn't do him justice, but he could also run harder and he could also have better ball carrier vision. But Bo Melton definitely had a rough game. He dropped a lot of passes. I believe he had a fumble, 39 total snaps, and man, did not play well. Want to see a bounce back week from him in practice and in preseason week 2. Now looking at the offensive line and looking at pressures allowed, the Packers quarterbacks didn't get sacked a single time, but there were some pressures allowed. Jacob Monk allowed 2 pressures. That makes sense why he's such a low pass blocking grade. Lecitus Smith, Caleb Jones, and Kadeem Telfort all allowed a pressure. So, really not that bad. Only 5 pressures allowed, 0 sacks. The offensive line looks shaky at some times, but if you didn't give up a sack and only 5 pressures, it's a win for the O-line. Before we go ahead and look at the defensive grades, I want to talk to you guys about today's video sponsor, BetUS, who are offering a $125 deposit match on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000 with my custom link down below. And guys, BetUS has so many different things you can bet on for the upcoming NFL season. If you're thinking of something you would want to bet on, they probably have it. And you could also ask customer service if you want a certain line to be added for a certain player, and they will probably add it. I've been looking at this one recently, Javon Bullard with 51-1 odds to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Why not just throw $25 down on it, and that could win $1,250. I'm loving those odds. Javon Bullard, man, looked impressive in the first preseason game. They were moving him around from safety to nickel, and he was making a ton of plays. I'm okay with placing that bet. Guys, remember to always gamble responsibly, But I'm all on that bet with those odds. 51 to 1 odds, $25 to potentially win $1,250. Javon Bullard, Defensive Rookie of the Year. You guys can tail my bet or take a look at all the other odds that BetUS has to offer over on their website. Again, get a 125% deposit match on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000 with my link down below. So now back to the video, and now back to the PFF grades. And the thing I was most impressed with in this first preseason game would have to be the defense. Just how fast they were out there. Simply all these players running and hitting. That's what Jeff Hafley keeps saying all offseason, and we finally saw it in a game. At preseason, albeit, but we saw it. We saw these players flying around making hits, especially Javon Bullard, who we were just talking about, Evan Williams, these linebackers, and we've yet to see Edgerrin Cooper and Tyron Hopper. So now let's dive down into the defensive grades and see who graded well on PFF in this preseason game. So we see the top graded player was Robert Rochelle. I believe he left with an injury. Don't know if we have an update on him yet, but very solid game. 80.5 defensive grade, 81.7 coverage grade. We'll go over the coverage stats right after this. Not great tackling. He did miss a tackle, but nonetheless a good game. And I saw he made a really nice play on special teams as well. That's going to be his way to the roster. If he wants to make this roster, continue to make special teams plays. Evan Williams, this checks out. Second highest graded player on defense, 23 total snaps, 79.2 defensive grade, 83.0 tackle. That checks out. This guy was making tackles left and right, 79.8 coverage grade. He had 5 tackles, 0 missed, man. What a day for Evan Williams. He's been so impressive this offseason, man. If they can hit a home run with Evan Williams on top of the talent they added with Javon Bullard and Edgerrin Cooper, guys, watch out. This defense is dangerous. Christian Young has also been very impressive. Similar to Robert Rochelle, getting some snaps and making plays on defense as well as special teams. He had a 78.2, including a good coverage grade. Colby Wooden had 2 pressures and a sack. Really nice preseason day by Colby Wooden, 77.1. Zane Anderson, guys, he does exist. 20 snaps, 76.9. In real games, he's usually on the bottom if he gets any snaps on defense, but here in a preseason game, he exists, and during the offseason, he's also had multiple interceptions on Sean Clifford, so it seems like he's, taking kind of a step up as well. Lucas Van Ness, this one checks out. I expected him to be at least top 7. I thought he'd be top 4 just by what I saw. The eye test, Lucas Van Ness was everywhere. 4 total pressures, a sack. Had a tackle, but also missed one. So that's probably why the lower grade, 38.9 tackle grade. He missed a tackle. Eric Stokes saw 12 snaps, but graded well, 75.9. Isaiah McDuffie, this checks out. I feel like he was flying around the field. He looked very fast out there, 74.0. Zach Morton, edge guy, they just signed, 70.4, had a pressure as well. Tyler Coyle, I saw his name a couple times come up and make some plays. 69.1. Kalen King, I saw come up and made a really nice tackle. I think it was on either a RPO bubble or a screen pass or swing pass, something of that sort. He had 34 total snaps and graded well. Anthony Johnson Jr. graded well, but again, kind of a little bit of a tackle issue. He missed a tackle in this game. It's kind of the issue last year of him missing tackles, so hopefully he can clean that up. Corey Ballantyne, 67.0. John Ford, 66.8. Going down the list, obviously there's a lot of players that didn't see many snaps. Preston Smith only saw 4. Quay Walker saw 8. Brevin Allen surprisingly only saw 9, even though they just signed him. Xavier McKinney saw 8, 62.3. Again, that's 8 snaps. It's not much to go by. Carl Brooks, no pressures, surprisingly. Raylan Goforth saw a ton of snaps, 40 snaps. I saw his name called a lot. He got a ton of snaps, obviously, with Edgerrin Cooper and Tyron Hopper being out. And then, of course, all the other starters are seeing very, very little snaps. But in terms of the low-graded guys that actually saw a significant amount of snaps, Brenton Cox Jr., JJ Nigbari saw 17. They both had 3 pressures apiece, which is impressive, but they had low grades. Brenton Cox Jr. missed 2 tackles, so that's why he gets a low grade there. Spencer Weege, 31.3, and LJ Davis, one of the new cornerback signings from a couple weeks ago. Honestly, forgot he was on the roster, and he had a 29.8 grade there. Devontae Wyatt had 2 pressures in 9 snaps. I think that's pretty impressive. I think that's better than a 54 grade, but he has a 54 grade because of missed tackle. So one thing with PFF that just kind of annoys me, if they miss a tackle, it just tanks their grade. It's like these are defensive linemen. Like they do miss tackles. Like they reach out their arm and sometimes miss a tackle because they're being blocked while doing so. It happens a lot with Kenny Clark, and that's why his grade always gets tanked in season. But those are all the defensive grades. Let's go over the defensive coverages. So in terms of the best coverage grade, it was Robert Rochelle. He allowed 1 reception on 3 targets for 5 yards. Evan Williams allowed 3 receptions on 3 targets, but only for 14 yards, so only a 4.7 yards per reception. So he made a tackle the moment the ball was caught every single time. Quay Walker, 1 reception on 1 target. Raylan Goforth allowed 5 receptions on 5 targets for 58 yards, so not good in coverage at all. Got torched at inside linebacker probably by the tight ends. Christian Welch allowed 3 on 3. Keyshawn Nixon allowed 2 on 2 receptions for 21 yards. Weirdly enough, I saw Nixon tweeted something today about him being the nickel corner. I don't know why he'd tweet that. Like, maybe he feels some type of way about Javon Bullard getting a lot of hype, getting a lot of praise, and a lot of people saying, hey, Javon Bullard will take his job. I've been saying it. I get it. I want Keyshawn Nixon to succeed. I just think Javon Bullard has more potential at that spot. And then we see Kalen King allowed 2 receptions on 2 targets for 13 yards. McDuffie allowed 1, a lot of 1s here, but no one really got torched too bad other than maybe Raylan Goforth. Quickly wrapping things up, let's go over special teams grades. Anthony Johnson Jr., excellent day on special teams. 2 tackles, 82.8 grade. Jamon Green, Robert Rochelle, also great days on special teams. Each had a tackle. Eric Wilson had a tackle. I feel like Eric Wilson every game has a special teams tackle. Ben Sims had a tackle. Javon Bullard even had a tackle on special teams. And then if we go all the way down, the lowest graded player was Malik Heath with a missed tackle on special teams. So that's definitely, again, his way to make the roster is not only on offense, but more importantly, run blocking and special teams. And right now, DeBose is beating him in both because DeBose also saw some special team snaps. He saw 3 here, and he didn't make a tackle, but he didn't miss one, and he had an average grade, 60.4. Where Malik Heath saw 6 special team snaps and, of course, had that missed tackle and the low grade of 47.3. So those are all the PFF grades from Green Bay Packers preseason week 1. We're just hungry for football, right? It's crazy that, we'll go over PFF grades from a preseason game. But, man, like I said, we're all just hungry for football, and we just want more. And we're getting more this weekend, Sunday night. Packers, Broncos, preseason week 2. I'll be live streaming for that game, so definitely make sure to come by the channel. I appreciate you guys coming by to this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave a like down below, and I'll continue to do this sort of thing in the preseason if you guys want that. Again, remember to go check out BetUS down in the description to receive your 125% deposit match on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. But I'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.